Kurt Busch and Ashley Van Meter, a sudden shocking split. Kurt Busch, the 2004 NASCAR Cup Series champion, seemed to have it all. A successful racing career and a glamorous marriage to professional polo player Ashley Van Meter. The pair met at a party on Ashley's family farm back in 2011, hit it off, and got engaged in 2015. Their January 2017 wedding in St. Bart's was a star-studded affair. Aerosmith's Steven Tyler even officiated the ceremony. For 5 years, Kurt and Ashley appeared to be a power couple straddling the worlds of motorsports and high society. That image, though, came crashing down in May of 2022. Only days after Busch scored a big win at Kansas Speedway with his new 2311 racing team, news broke that Ashley had filed for divorce in Florida. The filing sent shockwaves through NASCAR fandom, not least because of its startling allegations. Ashley's court documents claim that the marriage was irretrievably broken and that Busch had committed a tortious act against her. While the exact nature of this alleged wrongdoing wasn't made public, media reports painted a tense picture. Ashley said that Kurt cut off her access to their joint bank accounts and credit cards and even ordered her to leave their home by the 1st of June. In the court of public opinion, fans were stunned by the severity of those claims, especially since Busch had largely kept this marriage out of tabloid headlines up until that point. Kurt Busch addressed the split with a measured public statement, clearly aiming to dampen the drama. "I'm heartbroken to confirm that my wife Ashley and I are working to dissolve our marriage," he announced via a representative and reporter Bob Pockrass, emphasizing that divorce is a personal and private matter and pleading for privacy. That respectful tone did little to stop the rumor mill, but it did signal Busch's desire to keep the matter civil. Indeed, aside from confirming the breakup, Busch offered no further details, asking everyone to let them handle things quietly. It was a sobering moment of vulnerability for the often tough-as-nails driver. In the end, the Kurt and Ashley saga showed that even a veteran racer known as the Outlaw wasn't immune to a very public, very painful divorce. Danica Patrick and Paul Hospenthal, amicable end of a fairy tale. While Kurt Busch's breakup played out with unexpected drama, Danica Patrick's divorce was a different story. One marked by mutual respect and a gentle closing of a chapter. Danica burst onto the racing scene as a trailblazing female driver, and in her personal life she married physical therapist Paul Hospenthal in 2005 when she was just 23. The two met in 2002 while Paul was helping Danica rehab a yoga injury, a chance encounter that blossomed into romance. Despite a 17-year age difference, Paul was in his 40s, Danica in her 20s, they tied the knot and Paul became a steady, supportive presence as Danica's star rose, first in IndyCar racing and later in NASCAR. By late 2012, however, the fairy tale had quietly run its course. On November 20th, 2012, the day after Danica was honored as the nationwide series' most popular driver, she announced on Facebook that she and Paul were amicably ending their 7-year marriage. In her heartfelt message to fans, Danica wrote, "This isn't easy for either of us, but mutually it has come to this," adding that Paul has been an important person and friend in my life, and that's how we will remain moving forward. There were no sordid accusations, no fiery interviews, just a candid acknowledgement that sometimes people grow apart. When Danica formally filed for divorce in January 2013 in Arizona, the legal paperwork simply cited an irretrievably broken marriage with no reasonable prospect of reconciliation. The documents noted the couple had a prenuptial agreement, no children, and even affirmed there had been no incidents of domestic violence, underscoring how undramatic and orderly this split was. Media coverage of Danica's divorce was respectful and relatively low-key, focusing on her own statements. Fans who had watched Danica become a household name reacted with surprise but also support. Many admired how she handled the situation with class. Shortly after, attention turned to Danica's next chapter. She began dating fellow driver Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 2013, a pairing that generated its own buzz in the NASCAR world. But in the context of her marriage to Hospenthal, there was no public mudslinging. In interviews, Danica stayed true to form by avoiding private life details, even telling reporters she wouldn't discuss the split beyond her Facebook post. In a sport filled with high-octane drama, Danica Patrick's divorce stood out as an example of a graceful parting. AJ Allmendinger and Lynn Kushnarenko, turmoil on and off the track. Not all NASCAR love stories have a smooth ride, as AJ Allmendinger's first marriage proved that AJ, affectionately nicknamed the Dinger, found early career success in open-wheel racing, and along the way, he also found love in the Champ Car paddock. In 2005, he met Lynn Kushnarenko, a Canadian model and former Miss Molson who was working a public relations job in the Champ Car series. Sparks flew between the charismatic young driver and the beauty queen. As their bond grew, Lynn shifted her career from chiropractic studies to modeling, often supporting AJ at races. The couple married in January of 2007, with AJ transitioning to NASCAR soon after. For a while, it seemed like AJ had it all, a promising NASCAR drive and a loving wife by his side. Even their pet dog, Misty, had a brush with fame, making a cameo in the Hollywood film Marley and Me. However, by 2012, AJ's life hit a rough patch that strained everything, including his marriage. 5 years into their reunion, AJ and Lynn quietly filed for divorce, marking the end of their marriage just as his racing career was facing its biggest crisis. In the summer of 2012, Allmendinger had been suspended by NASCAR for violating the sport's drug policy, a shocker that saw him temporarily ousted from his high-profile ride with Team Penske. He later admitted that he tested positive for a prescription Adderall pill that he took unknowingly, and he entered the Road to Recovery program. This period was a perfect storm of personal and professional turmoil. As AJ fought to rebuild his reputation on the track, his relationship with Lynn was falling apart. The divorce itself flew under the radar. There was no public accusations or messy court battles reported. It seems the split was as private as possible, likely finalized sometime in late 2012. Fans learned about it after the fact, noticing that Lynn had stopped appearing at the track and even reverted to her maiden name on social media. Industry observers couldn't help but connect the dots between Allmendinger's struggles in competition and the strain at home. As one reporter noted, the divorce and suspension happened at a time when the driver was going through a rough patch on the track. In retrospect, AJ himself acknowledged that period was the low point of his life. But this story has a silver lining. AJ Allmendinger clawed his way back into NASCAR, notching wins in the years that followed, and found happiness again with a new love. He married Tara Meador in 2019, and they welcomed a baby boy in 2023, a complete personal turnaround. Looking back, the end of his first marriage to Lynn was a sober chapter, illustrating how the pressure cooker world of racing can spill over into home life. Fans were glad to see Dinger land on his feet, but the Lynn era remains a reminder that even in victory lane, life can throw you a curve. Dario Franchitti and Ashley Judd, a Hollywood romance runs its course. When Scottish race car driver Dario Franchitti, a multi-time IndyCar champion who also gave NASCAR a shot, married Hollywood actress Ashley Judd in 2001, it was a celebrity fairy tale that made headlines well beyond the sports pages. Dario and Ashley met at a mutual friend's wedding in 1999 and were instantly drawn to each other's worlds. He loved her intelligence and activism. She became one of his biggest cheerleaders at the track. They enjoyed a 2-year engagement before tying the knot in a beautiful ceremony at Skibo Castle in Dario's native Scotland in December 2001. For over a decade, fans would spot the movie star in her big hats and sundresses, celebrating enthusiastically in victory lane whenever Dario won the Indy 500 or another big race. Their marriage had an aura of glamour and genuine love, blending Ashley's Tinseltown life with Dario's need for speed. By early 2013, however, the pair stunned fans by announcing that they were parting ways after 11 years of marriage. In a joint statement given to People magazine, the couple emphasized that the decision was mutual and filled with respect. "We have mutually decided to end our marriage. We'll always be family and continue to cherish our relationships based on the special love, integrity, and respect that we have always enjoyed." They said this in their public farewell. There was no bitterness on display, only the sadness of two people who had grown in different directions. They noted that they would remain a family, and indeed, they meant it. Tellingly, the breakup statement included no specifics about why or how they would divorce, underscoring that it was an amicable separation of paths. At the time of the announcement, the couple had no children, which likely made the practical side of divorce simpler. What happened in the months that followed proved just how deep Ashley and Dario's bond ran. In October 2013, Franchitti survived a terrifying crash during an IndyCar race in Houston, suffering serious injuries. Despite being estranged, Ashley Judd dropped everything and rushed to his side in the hospital. She famously tweeted, "I have only the clothes on my back and the dogs, but that's all we need, and we are on our way." As she flew out to be with him, the actress thanked fans for their prayers and made clear that, divorce or not, Dario was still my guy and her concern in that critical moment. In fact, at that point, neither had even filed divorce papers yet, leading some hopeful onlookers to wonder if a reconciliation was possible. Ultimately, the marriage did end, reportedly finalized by the end of 2013. Yet they handled it in such a mature and caring way that both the racing community and Hollywood fans applauded them. Industry insiders noted that Ashley and Dario set a high bar for an amicable split, showing that you can end a marriage and still deeply respect and support each other. In the end, even though this romance didn't get a Hollywood ending, it earned a standing ovation for its grace and dignity under trying conditions. Michael Waltrip and Buffy Franks, marriage tested by triumph and tragedy. Michael Waltrip, two-time Daytona 500 winner and one of NASCAR's most colorful personalities, experienced soaring highs and crushing lows in the 2000s. Through much of that journey, by his side was his wife, Elizabeth Buffy Franks. Michael met Buffy in 1992, back when he was a young driver still looking to make his mark. They married on November 27, 1993, and for the next 17 years, Buffy was not just Michael's spouse, but an integral part of his racing career. She even took on the role of team owner for Michael's number 00 car when he formed Michael Waltrip Racing, a true partner in life and business. The couple had a daughter together, and for a long time they were seen as one of NASCAR's solid behind-the-scenes power couples. But the demands of racing and the weight of personal tragedy eventually took a toll on the Waltrips' marriage. Rumors of trouble emerged in 2008 when observant fans noticed that Buffy had stopped coming to the race shop and public events. The Waltrips quietly put their North Carolina home up for sale, sparking whispers in the garage that the relationship was on the rocks. Those whispers proved true. In 2010, Michael and Buffy officially confirmed that they were divorcing, ending their 17-year marriage. Neither spoke much publicly about the split at the time, but Michael later shed light on what went wrong, and it was heart-wrenching. In his best-selling memoir, In the Blink of an Eye, Waltrip revealed that he never truly processed the grief and trauma from February 18, 2001, the day his friend and mentor Dale Earnhardt died in a last-lap crash as Michael won the Daytona 500. Michael wrote that he didn't seek counseling or confront the pain, and instead he allowed it to fester and affect his life at home. "I never dealt with the tragedy," he confessed, and that emotional distance contributed to an irreparable rift between him and Buffy. Essentially, the happiest day of Michael's professional life, winning NASCAR's biggest race, was also the darkest day personally, losing Dale Sr., and that paradox haunted him for years. Buffy herself alluded to feeling Michael became a different man after that 2001 accident. When news of their divorce became public, most NASCAR insiders weren't shocked. The signs had been there, but they were certainly somber. Fans expressed sadness, especially knowing the backstory that Dale Earnhardt's death was a factor in the marriage's downfall. In NASCAR, Earnhardt's passing is still an emotional topic, and realizing that it had collateral damage on Michael's family life brought a new layer of poignancy. The Waltrips handled their split privately. Buffy got custody of their daughter and moved on, eventually remarrying a few years later. Michael, for his part, continued to wear his heart on his sleeve. In a way, the end of his marriage to Buffy underscored just how human even a NASCAR champion is. It also showed the wider world that the ripple effects of racing strategies extend far beyond just the track. Michael Waltrip's divorce might not have been tabloid fodder, but it remains one of the most poignant open secrets in the garage. A story of love, loss, and the importance of confronting one's demons before they drive away those who matters most. Brian Vickers and Sarah Kellen, love and scandal in the shadows. Few NASCAR divorce stories are as entangled with outside scandal as the ongoing saga of Brian Vickers and Sarah Kellen. Vickers, a former NASCAR Xfinity Series champion back in 2003 and Cup Series playoff driver, married Sarah in 2013 during the prime of his racing career. Now at the time, Sarah Kellen was just another beautiful young woman by a driver's side. But in 2019, her name made national headlines for extremely grim reasons. Kellen was identified as a longtime assistant to the now infamous financier and sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. In courtroom documents and news reports, Kellen, who has also used the alias Sarah Kensington, was alleged to be a recruiter in Epstein's abusive operations, accused of arranging travel and massages for underage girls. Essentially, a key player in the heinous scheme. She was even once described by a judge as a criminally responsible participant in the Epstein case, though she was never charged due to an immunity deal from 2008. As the Epstein scandal exploded, Brian Vickers suddenly found his private life under a harsh, unyielding spotlight that had nothing to do with racing. Unprepared for this kind of infamy, Vickers essentially retreated from public view. After stepping away from full-time driving, health issues with blood clots had sidelined him in 2016, he also went silent on social media around 2019 and 2020. The reason, as he later hinted, was the onslaught of negative comments whenever he posted anything. Replies flooded with references to Epstein and demands for answers about his wife. Then, in April of 2025, he re-emerged online with a bombshell announcement. He and Sarah Kellen are divorcing after a decade of marriage. In a heartfelt note that he shared via Twitter, now X, Vickers wrote, "Hey friends, after 10 years of marriage and 5 years under a rock on social media, I'm coming out of digital hiding to share some heavy news. Sarah and I are getting a divorce." He struck a grateful and reflective tone, saying that he was thankful for their years together, the joyous moments and the difficult ones, and that now that the dust has settled, he has gained clarity and is ready to move forward. Notably, Vickers did not explicitly mention the Epstein saga or assign blame in his statement, but the subtext was pretty hard to ignore. "Delete that old version of me in your head. It expired," read a digital sign in the photo that he posted, perhaps signaling that he's eager to distance himself from the dark shadow of his soon-to-be ex-wife's past. The reaction in the NASCAR community was a mix of shock and, frankly, relief. Vickers had largely vanished from the scene, and now people had understood why. Fans and pundits reacted to his divorce news with supportive messages, many essentially saying, "Good for you, Brian." Given Kellen's notoriety, there wasn't much sympathy for her. As one sports writer bluntly put it, "NASCAR fans probably don't feel bad for Brian Vickers here." The consensus was that Vickers deserved a fresh start away from the Epstein mess that wasn't of his making. He mentioned he'll be more active publicly again and even teased new creative moves on the horizon. In the bigger picture, this divorce highlighted how a NASCAR driver's life can be upended by forces entirely outside the racing bubble. It's a story that's still unfolding. As of 2025, the divorce is in progress, but one thing is clear: Brian Vickers is ready to close this tumultuous chapter. As he signed off in his announcement sending love and grace to supporters, fans couldn't help but send some back his way, hoping that the former champion finds smoother roads ahead, far from the ugly headlines of the past few years. Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s early divorces, turbulence before the triumphs. Long before the era of social media and 24/7 news, NASCAR's greatest legend, Dale Earnhardt Sr., lived through his own shares of marital ups and downs. Earnhardt was as fearless in life as he was on the track, and that included marrying young. In fact, he was just 17 years old in 1968 when he first said "I do," wedding his high school sweetheart Latane Brown. The next year, they welcomed a son, Kerry Earnhardt, into the world, but the pressures of young parenthood and Dale's single-minded focus on racing proved too much for the marriage. By 1970, barely 2 years in, Dale and Latane had divorced while Dale was still a teenager himself. It's a chapter of the Intimidator's life that many newer fans are surprised to learn about. The tough-as-nails champion had already been divorced once before his NASCAR career even began in earnest. Earnhardt didn't stay single for long, though. In 1971, he married Brenda Gee, later known as Brenda Jackson, the daughter of legendary NASCAR builder Robert Gee. This union brought more children, daughter Kelly in 1972 and son Ralph Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 1974. During these years, Dale Sr. was scrapping to make a name in regional racing, often on the road chasing his big break. The strain was evident. Shortly after baby Dale Jr. was born, Dale Sr. and Brenda's marriage began to crumble. They separated and ultimately divorced a few years later. By the mid-1970s, though, Dale Earnhardt had 2 divorces behind him, along with a brood of young kids, at the very moment that his driving career was about to take off. It wasn't until 1979 that he hit the NASCAR Cup Series like a tornado, winning Rookie of the Year. By then, his personal life had stabilized with a third marriage to Teresa Houston in 1982, the marriage that lasted until his death in 2001. But those early domestic breakups left their mark on the Earnhardt family story. Dale's older son Kerry was raised mostly by Latane, and his 2 middle kids, Kelly and Dale Jr., spent a lot of their childhood with Brenda until a house fire in the early 80s prompted them to move in with Dale and Teresa. In later interviews, Dale Jr. and Kelly would speak about the complicated dynamics of being children of divorce in the racing world. Of course, in the 1970s, none of Dale Sr.'s personal turmoil was splashed across headlines. I mean, he wasn't famous yet, and NASCAR coverage was a far cry from today's media environment. Still, longtime fans and insiders knew of Dale's fractured early home life. Some say that those hardships fueled his ferocious drive to succeed. He was a man who literally had nothing to lose on the track, having already lost 2 marriages due in part to chasing his racing dreams. By the time he reached superstardom, Earnhardt had learned from those life experiences. Friends observed that in his third marriage to Teresa, he seemed more settled and cognizant of balancing racing with family. It's a testament to his character that he remained close with all of his children and even maintained respect for his exes. Brenda, for instance, stayed involved in Kelly and Dale Jr.'s lives and later joined JR Motorsports, the team her kids co-own. Dale Sr.'s story shows that even icons have early chapters they had to overcome. His divorces might not have been public spectacles, but they did set the stage for the family and legacy he ultimately built. In the grand drama of NASCAR history, it's an intriguing subplot. The king of the stock cars had to learn to navigate love and loss before he could conquer the racing world. From messy breakups to career-changing divorces, these stories show that NASCAR drama doesn't stop at the finish line. Which of these shocked you the most? Be sure to let us know down in the comments below. And if you want more untold stories from the track and beyond, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because here at the NASCAR Explainer, we break it all down. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Amy Ryman. The homewrecker rumors to happy ever after. NASCAR's most popular driver, Dale Jr., surprised the racing world back in 2009 by stepping out with Amy Ryman, an interior designer who, as it turned out, was still married to her college sweetheart at the time that they met. Cue the drama. Tabloids claimed that Jr. had broken up Amy's marriage, and her ex-husband's family even spoke to the press calling the situation wrong. Despite the scandalous start, Dale Jr. and Amy kept a low profile until publicly debuting as a couple at the 2011 NASCAR Awards. Over the next few years, fans saw Dale transform from a hard-partying bachelor to a doting partner. He promised to Amy in 2015, and they tied the knot on New Year's Eve 2016 in a fairy tale wedding at a vineyard. Amy even starred in Dale's DIY network show as they renovated their home. This story had a happy ending. Dale Jr. settled down, and the controversial beginnings were largely forgotten as the Earnhardt heir became a devoted husband and now father. What started off as scandalous rumors turned into one of NASCAR's sweetest love stories. Proof that even in racing, you can recover from a false start. Brian Vickers and Sarah Kellen. NASCAR champ meets Epstein scandal. Now, this might be the most bizarre crossover of NASCAR and true crime. Brian Vickers, a former Xfinity Series champion and popular Cup driver, surprised fans when he dropped out of the spotlight around 2017. It later emerged that he had married Sarah Kellen, a woman alleged to be a key associate in Jeffrey Epstein's notorious sex trafficking ring. Kellen, who also went by an alias Sarah Kensington, was accused of being Epstein's scheduler who procured underage girls, although she has never been criminally convicted. As Epstein's crimes dominated news in 2019, Vickers' social media posts were flooded with outrage about his wife. The once outgoing driver went silent online and essentially vanished from public view amid the negative attention. In 2025, after 5 years in hiding, Vickers re-emerged only to announce he was divorcing Kellen. He implied that he'd been through difficult times and was ready for a fresh start. This unlikely marriage entangled a NASCAR champ in one of the decade's biggest scandals, proving truth is stranger than fiction. It's a relationship that brought more infamy than a Daytona 500 crash, and one story that fans never expected to see connected with their sport. Jeff Gordon and Brooke Seeley, the trophy girl's secret romance. Jeff Gordon was a rising NASCAR superstar when he fell for Miss Winston Cup model Brooke Seeley in 1992, a relationship that had been kept hush-hush due to rules against drivers dating trophy models. They secretly met in hotels until Brooke's modeling tenure ended, then went public and married in 1994. Dubbed a NASCAR fairy tale couple at first, their union turned into tabloid fodder by the early 2000s amid affair rumors. Brooke filed for divorce in 2002, citing marital misconduct, sparking a media frenzy as details leaked on her demands, including use of the private jet and luxury cars. The split was one of the costliest in NASCAR history, a reported $15 million settlement. Jeff's clean-cut image took a pretty big hit, but he rebounded by marrying model Ingrid Van de Bosch. Brooke's whirlwind romance, from secret victory lane kisses to a very public breakup, had fans riveting through the 90s. Danica Patrick and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., racing's power couple. When Danica Patrick made the jump from IndyCar to NASCAR, she also accelerated into a high-profile romance with fellow Cup Series rookie Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 2012. NASCAR's most famous female driver dating a rival driver was big news, and the pair became a media darling duo, often interviewed side by side about mixing love and competition. On track, they raced hard, even trading paint a few times, but off track, they shared playful social posts, including an April Fool's prank that had fans fooled that they were engaged. After 5 years as NASCAR's it couple, Danica and Ricky's relationship stalled out in late 2017, just as she was retiring from full-time driving. Their breakup went public with as much buzz as their hookup, with fans debating whether career pressures or marriage timing caused a split. In true racer form, both moved on quickly, Danica to a new life in the celebrity world and Ricky eventually marrying another woman. But for a while, Danica was the talk of the NASCAR garage. Danica Patrick and Aaron Rodgers. Cross-sport celebrity buzz. After Ricky, Danica's love life shifted into overdrive with NFL superstar Aaron Rodgers. The retired race car driver and the Green Bay Packers quarterback met years early at the FC Awards, but didn't start dating until 2018. The pairing of America's most famous female racer and an MVP quarterback was pure pop culture culture gold. They hit red carpets together. She even hosted the ESPYs that he attended and shared goofy vacation posts. Rogers gushed about Danica helping him be more open and mindful, and they bought a Malibu mansion together. Fans were stunned when this seemingly perfect matchup abruptly split in July of 2020. Heartbroken, Danica admitted that she was broken open by the breakup. The shock doubled when Rogers quickly got engaged to actress Shailene Woodley just months later, leaving the NASCAR world and tabloids swirling with theories. Danica and Aaron's 2-year romance burned bright and fast, a whirlwind of sports star glamour that had everyone from ESPN to E! News watching closely until it suddenly skidded off course. Denny Hamlin and Jordan Fish, social media meltdown. For over a decade, Denny Hamlin's longtime girlfriend Jordan Fish was by his side through victories and defeats, quietly supporting the Joe Gibbs racing star. That's why the NASCAR world was shocked in September of 2021 when Jordan unleashed a Twitter firestorm that implied their relationship was over. In a pair of scathing tweets posted right before the playoffs, she accused Denny of behavior that no one person should ever have to endure, and said, "I hope everyone will finally see you for the person you truly are," ending with, "I graciously no longer will be a part of your life. Have a great life." The cryptic public airing of dirty laundry left fans and media scrambling for answers. By the next day, Fish had deleted her account entirely. Denny, known for his cool on track, was suddenly facing very uncool cheating rumors and personal scrutiny. He refused to comment, calling it a private matter, and in a surprising twist, the two quietly reconciled months later, and even got engaged in 2023, but not before the episode went viral on racing blogs and news sites. The incident showed how even a veteran driver's personal life can spin out in the era of social media drama. Kurt Busch and Patricia Driscoll, assassin allegations and courtroom chaos. Now, this has to be one of the wildest NASCAR romance dramas ever. Kurt Busch, nicknamed The Outlaw, dated defense contractor executive Patricia Driscoll for a few years, but their 2014 breakup led to explosive allegations on both sides. Driscoll filed a police report claiming that Kurt assaulted her, leading to a no-contact order. In response, Kurt dropped a bombshell under oath, testifying that he believed Patricia was actually a trained assassin who carried out covert missions. Yes, you heard that right. Busch described one incident where Patricia returned to their hotel room in a blood-spattered evening gown, claiming she'd been on a lethal mission. The courtroom gasped. Media headlines blared, "Kurt says ex is assassin," and the story instantly went viral, becoming late-night talk show fodder. Patricia claimed that she claims ludicrous and said Kurt took the idea from a movie script that she was writing. In the end, no charges were filed due to the lack of evidence, but NASCAR suspended Kurt briefly in 2015 over the incident. The whole saga, restraining orders, bizarre testimonies, and even Driscoll later facing fraud charges unrelated to Kurt, was a real-life NASCAR soap opera. It's not every day that a Cup champion's love life reads like a James Bond movie. Kurt Busch and Ashley Van Meter, reality TV and quick divorce. Kurt Busch's love life doesn't exactly calm down after all the Driscoll drama. In 2017, he married Ashley Van Meter, a polo player and model 13 years his junior, in a lavish Caribbean ceremony. Ashley later starred on CMT's reality show Racing Wives, giving fans a glimpse of the Busch home life and her equestrian career. For a while, Kurt seemed to have found stability. The gruff racer and his glamorous wife were a NASCAR power couple, seen at galas in Victory Lane. But by 2022, things had unraveled fast. Ashley filed for divorce after 5 years, alleging Kurt had cut off her access to their bank accounts and credit cards and even demanded that she leave the house by a certain date. She cited a tortious act, legalese hinting at wrongdoing without publicly spilling all the tea. Kurt released a statement calling it a personal private matter and said he was heartbroken. The split played out quietly compared to his previous breakup, but NASCAR fans still ate up the reports of another Busch relationship hitting the wall. In the end, this marriage ended almost as suddenly as one of Kurt's on-track blow-ups, a reminder that even after the checkered flag, life can throw some unexpected caution flags. Kyle Busch and Samantha Sarganella, highs, lows, and going viral for good. Not all NASCAR love stories are scandals. Some do win hearts in a positive way. Kyle "Rowdy" Busch might be polarizing on the track, but his marriage to Samantha Sarganella has made them one of NASCAR's favorite couples. They met on a blind date and married on New Year's Eve in 2010 in a New Year's extravaganza, later turned into a wedding TV special. Samantha, a former promotional model with a marketing degree, embraced a racing life and built her fan base through social media and a lifestyle blog. The Bushes have shared very personal struggles publicly, from Kyle's fiery temper to their their arduous journey with infertility. In 2018 and 19, they went viral in the most heartfelt way by documenting the IVF process that led to the birth of their daughter Lennox, after already having a son Brexton. Samantha's emotional YouTube videos and Instagram posts about miscarriage and hope endeared her to many, a rare vulnerability from a racing family. They also co-star on CMT's Racing Wives, where Samantha's polished entrepreneurial persona shone. Of course, this couple has had dramatic moments, like Kyle's infamous 2011 suspension for wrecking Ron Hornaday. Samantha fiercely defended him online, and a 2017 incident where a fan heckled him and she clapped back. But through it all, Kyle and Samantha have shown a united front. They turned the cameras on themselves not for scandal, but to bring fans along on their life's ride, making them a modern NASCAR influencer couple who prove that even rowdy can have a soft side. Martin Truex Jr. and Sherry Pollak's triumph and tragedy. Martin Truex Jr. and Sherry Pollak's 18-year relationship was the stuff of Hollywood movies, inspiring, yet ultimately heartbreaking. They met in 2005 when Martin was a young driver for Dale Jr.'s team and Sherry worked in NASCAR PR. Her father was a team owner. Over the years, as Martin became a Cup champion, Sherry became the sport's most beloved warrior princess. In 2014, at just 35, she was diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer. Truex and Pollak faced it as a team, Sherry undergoing brutal treatments and multiple recurrences, while also launching Sherry Strong to raise awareness in the Martin Truex Jr. Foundation for Pediatric Cancer. Fans rallied around them, especially when Martin won the 2017 championship and tearfully credited Sherry's fight for inspiring him. They weren't married, but their bond seemed unbreakable. That's why news of their split in January of 2023 stunned everyone. Truex quietly announced that they decided to end their relationship, thanking her and asking for privacy. No reason was given, sparking widespread speculation. In a gut-wrenching turn, Sherry's cancer returned aggressively, and she passed away in September of 2023 at age 44, just 8 months after their breakup, devastating the NASCAR community. Martin's subdued demeanor and cryptic statements about life changes only added to the intrigue and sorrow. This couple's journey, from charity galas and joyful victory lane hugs to whispered rumors and a tragic farewell, showed NASCAR fans the humanity behind the helmets, leaving a legacy far beyond racing. Kyle Petty and Patty Petty, and Morgan Petty, racing royalties plot twist. Kyle Petty, son of Richard the King Petty, and his wife Patty were long seen as NASCAR royalty. Married back in 1979, Kyle and Patty weathered the highest highs and the lowest lows, from Kylie's Cup wins to the tragic death of their son Adam in 2000. Patty was a constant supportive presence, even co-founding the Victory Junction charity champ in Adam's memory, so it shocked many old-school fans when this rock-solid pair quietly divorced in 2012 after 33 years. The twist? A few years later, the 50-something Petty found new love with Morgan Castano, executive director of his charity ride, and notably 26 years his junior. They married in 2015, and at age 57, Kyle welcomed a new baby boy with 33-year-old Morgan in 2018. The news of Kyle essentially starting a second family in his late 50s set tongues wagging and eyebrows rising in the NASCAR world. Some joked that the lifelong racer was in overtime, yet Kyle's been unabashedly happy, calling his young sons with Morgan a blessing and even writing a book about his life changes. It's been a dramatic second act, from the beloved Petty couple that carried on the family legacy to an amicable split and an unexpected new chapter with a much younger wife. Kyle Petty's life off track proved as eventful as any race, surprising and proving that even NASCAR royals aren't immune to major life shakeups. Ray Evernham and Aaron Crocker, team owner falls for his driver. This one had NASCAR gossip columns buzzing in the mid-2000s. Ray Evernham was Jeff Gordon's legendary crew chief turned team owner, and Aaron Crocker was a talented young driver he signed to his developmental program. Before long, whispers spread that their relationship was more than professional, despite Ray being married. In 2006, those whispers exploded into controversy when Evernham's Cup driver Jeremy Mayfield filed a lawsuit after being released, alleging Ray's close personal relationship with Crocker made him an absentee boss. Evernham eventually admitted the romance and acknowledged it hurt Aaron's driving career due to the negative publicity and sponsor backlash. His marriage ended in divorce, and his race team shuttered Crocker's program amid the fallout. Ray and Aaron, however, stuck together through the drama. He helped find her other rides and defended her talent. They married in 2009, proving the office romance was real. NASCAR had rarely seen such a scandal. A high-profile owner basically accused of favoring his girlfriend driver over his team. It was a tawdry tale that lit up forums and papers, with fans split on whether to blame Ray for unprofessionalism or chalk it up to chemistry. In the end, Evernham and Croker became an enduring couple. They even have a daughter, but their love story's start came at the cost of sponsorship and reputations. One of NASCAR's more eyebrow-raising pairings that people still talk about: Carl Edwards and Amanda Beard, NASCAR's Mr. Nice Guy and the Olympian. In 2005, clean-cut Cup Series rookie Carl Edwards, fresh off flipping his way into victory lane, began dating Olympic gold medal swimmer Amanda Beard, creating a true cross-sports glamour couple. They appeared in magazines and at events like one of NASCAR's first celebrity pairings, the handsome driver and the model athlete. But behind the photogenic smiles, trouble brewed. The relationship lasted just 2 years and ended quietly in 2006, only to resurface years later when Beard released her 2012 memoir In the Water They Can't See You Cry. In it, she portrayed Carl as controlling, jealous, and self-absorbed, saying that she felt isolated and not good enough during their time together. NASCAR fans were stunned. Edwards was known as the polite, fan-friendly guy. Carl responded diplomatically, saying that he was surprised and that he would have done anything to help her with her struggles. He even admitted the book's claims were just weird for him to read. The memoir's bombshell made headlines on ESPN and beyond, adding a darker shade to what many thought was a fairy tale fling. While both have long since moved on, Carl married another woman in 2009, Amanda, to a photographer. This relationship's legacy is that even NASCAR's golden boy had a dramatic love life chapter, one that went from sports pages to tabloids after the fact. Rajah Caruth and Marseille Martin. Gen Z meets NASCAR. When a young NASCAR up-and-comer starts dating a Hollywood star, you've got a recipe for viral buzz. Rajah Caruth, a 21-year-old driver making waves in NASCAR's lower series, caught the attention of Marseille Martin, the actress known from TV's Blackish, and the two became an adorable item by 2024. They kept things mostly private at first, but eagle-eyed fans spotted Marseille, then 19, cheering Rajah at a race, and soon the teen celeb confirmed their relationship during a radio interview. She praised Rajah's emotional intelligence and patience, saying he brought stability to her crazy showbiz life. The news lit up social media, as many noted this pairing shatters stereotypes. A young black actress and a black NASCAR driver, both breaking barriers in their fields. They've since shared cute date pics, including an affectionate embrace at a NASCAR event that melted hearts, and supportive shoutouts for each other's careers. So far, no controversy here, just cuteness overload. But it's notable how much attention they've gotten from mainstream outlets like Yahoo and Teen Vogue, introducing new audiences to NASCAR. In a YouTube-era tone, Rajah and Marseille are like the prom king and queen of a new, diverse NASCAR generation, proving that racing love stories aren't just for the southern set anymore. Fans are rooting for these two as they navigate fame, fast cars, and young love all at once. Hailie Deegan and Chase Cabray, YouTube's favorite racing couple. Hailie Deegan isn't just a rising star in the NASCAR Truck Series, she's also a social media influencer, which made her relationship with fellow driver Chase Cabray perfect content. This young duo turned their lives into a vlogger's delight, pranking each other in viral YouTube videos and TikToks while climbing the racing ladder. Hailie, often dubbed the future of female NASCAR, began dating Chase in 2020. They quickly amassed a following beyond the track by filming everything from daily adventures to elaborate practical jokes, like Hailie once pretending their house was robbed as a prank on Chase, which got hundreds of thousands of views. Some old school fans rolled their eyes, but a new generation loved the behind-the-scenes peek at a racing romance. Of course, it hasn't been all fun and games. In 2022, Hailie spoke out about online harassment and even a scary incident where an angry fan caused the couple concern. Through it, Chase has been her on-camera protector and partner in crime. They're now engaged, after Chase proposed on camera, naturally, and still sharing their journey with the world. By blending racing with reality TV-style content, Hailie and Chase have become NASCAR's first true influencer couple, proving love in the fast lane can be lucrative and a little bit wild in the social media age. Michael Waltrip and Buffy Waltrip, from NASCAR darlings to divorce. In the late 90s and early 2000s, few NASCAR couples were as visible and seemingly solid as Michael and Buffy Waltrip. He was the lanky, affable driver who finally found success with Dale Earnhardt Inc., and she was the outgoing wife often seen celebrating in victory lane. She even owned the car Michael drove for a time. They married in 1993 and had a daughter, appearing to live a storybook NASCAR life. But behind the smiles, Michael struggled emotionally after the 2001 death of his mentor, Dale Earnhardt. He later admitted that he never fully coped with the tragedy, which contributed to strains in the marriage. Around 2008, fans noticed Buffy stopped coming to the track, and rumors swirled. By 2010, the couple quietly divorced after 17 years, with little public explanation. NASCAR insiders whispered about possible infidelity. Unconfirmed scuttlebutt even linked Buffy to another racer or team exec, though nothing was publicly acknowledged. Michael candidly candidly wrote that his deep depression and distance following Dale's accident made him hard to live with. Post-divorce, Buffy remarried and Michael moved on as well, but he's spoken with regret about that period. Their split lacked the tabloid fireworks of some others, yet it was a big deal for longtime fans. The end of an era for a once adorable NASCAR couple. In a YouTube-ish retrospective, it's a reminder that even happy-go-lucky figures have demons, and even strong relationships can become collateral damage to life's crashes. Jeremy Mayfield and Shauna Mayfield, NASCAR's most wanted saga. Buckle up, the Mayfields are a wild ride. Jeremy Mayfield was a successful Cup driver until 2009 when NASCAR suspended him for a failed drug test, igniting a multi-year legal war that dragged his wife Shauna into the fray. Shauna had been Jeremy's rock and team co-owner, but became his co-combatant against NASCAR. The battle got insanely ugly. Jeremy insisted he was clean and that NASCAR's drug test was flawed, while NASCAR alleged that he was a methamphetamine user. Jeremy's own stepmother publicly claimed that she saw him do meth. Jeremy retaliated, of course, by accusing his stepmom of murdering his father. Yes, murder, in the media. Through all of this, Shauna fiercely defended Jeremy, both in court and on social media, essentially waging a war with NASCAR's powers. They endured countless court hearings, Jeremy's permanent ban from racing, a raid that found stolen goods and meth at their home, leading to his arrest, and even Shauna filing bankruptcy after a $1 million judgment when Jeremy's dog bit a mail carrier. It was a 3-year soap opera that no screenwriter could concoct. Drugs, crime, family betrayal, and Shauna stood by her man through it all, even as they lost their fortune. By 2013, Jeremy's fight sputtered out and the Mayfields faded from headlines. But their scorched earth saga remains infamous. In NASCAR circles, doing a Mayfield is shorthand for a career going off the rails. Through it all, Jeremy and Shauna's Bonnie and Clyde unity, for better or for worse, made for one of sport's most jaw-dropping couple dramas ever. Richard Petty and Linda Petty, and a royal family secret. Richard the King Petty and his wife Linda were married for over 50 years, a seemingly rock-solid foundation behind NASCAR's winningest driver. Linda was the quintessential NASCAR wife, strong, poised, raising their 4 kids, and even managing Richard's fan club, while he racked up 200 wins. But even the King had a skeleton in the closet. In the early 1990s, fans were stunned by the revelation that Richard had fathered an out-of-wedlock daughter back in the 1960s with a family friend. This secret child, named Lisa, was kept hidden from the public for decades. In a remarkable moment during Petty's farewell season in 1992, all of Richard's daughters, including Lisa, appeared together, confirming the long-rumored family twist. It was a secret so well kept that the press was in awe when Lisa was introduced. The Pettys handled it with grace. Linda, often called the First Lady of NASCAR, forgave Richard and welcomed Lisa into the fold, and the family stood strong. Linda herself faced serious health battles, a 2010 brain tumor, and Richard was her devoted caretaker until she passed in 2014. This couple avoided scandal for most of their lives, only to have a very personal story go public near the end of Richard's driving career. Yet, in true Petty fashion, they met it head-on. It's a reminder that even NASCAR's royal couple had real-life challenges behind their crown, and their ability to overcome them only added to their legendary status. Bubba Wallace and Amanda Carter, racing's ride-or-die sweethearts. Bubba Wallace made headlines as a trailblazing driver on the track, but his longtime love Amanda Carter has been a steady force behind the scenes, their journey unfolding like a heartfelt Netflix docuseries. Quite literally, as their relationship was featured in Race Bubba Wallace. High school sweethearts from North Carolina, Bubba and Amanda dated for years, enduring the spotlight as Bubba became NASCAR's most high-profile black driver. In 2020, during the heat of racial justice conversations, Bubba credited Amanda for giving him strength to speak out. He proposed in July 2021 with a beautiful mountain sunset engagement, and they tied the knot on New Year's Eve 2022 in a lavish ceremony near their hometown. The wedding itself made People magazine, from Bubba's emotional tears seeing Amanda walk down the aisle to the joking way he insisted on no racing on their big day. They even had a surprise party crasher. A stranger tried to crash the wedding reception, reportedly spewing ugly comments before being escorted out, which Bubba later laughed off on social media. Now married, the Wallaces continue to charm fans. Amanda was seen giving Bubba a tearful hug after his breakthrough Indianapolis win in 2023, and she's often in victory lane for his trademark confetti showers. Truly a long run, showing that in the crazy NASCAR world, a love that starts before the fame can go the distance. In YouTube terms, they're that relatable couple that you root for, proving that real love is the best trophy of all. Tony Stewart and Leah Pruitt, Burnouts and I Do. Tony Stewart spent most of his career as NASCAR's cantankerous bachelor. Smoke once joked that he'd never settle down because no one could handle him. Enter Leah Pruitt, an NHRA drag racing star who's every bit as competitive and fearless. The two met in 2019, and it was high-octane love from the start. Tony proposed in 2021, with fittingly a shiny dragster in the background, and the racing power couple married later that year in a romantic ceremony in Los Cabos, Mexico. Fans went wild seeing the three-time NASCAR champ finally domesticated at 50, and marrying a champion driver at that. Their wedding photos, which of course included burning rubber with a smoky burnout, went viral on racing social feeds. Now Tony and Leah are a true motorsports power couple, owning a race team together and frequently hopping between NASCAR garages and drag strips. No controversy here, just a lot of horsepower love. They lightheartedly tease each other about which racing discipline is tougher and even occasionally race head-to-head in charity events. Stewart, known for his fiery on-track blow-ups, seems downright zen when posting about his hot rod wife and their adventures. Fishing trips, dirt racing, and yes, lots of donuts, both the pastry and the tire kind. In a YouTube world, their vlog would be a hit, equal parts humor, competition, and romance. This marriage showed Smoke could indeed find his match. A love story sealed with tire smoke and happily ever after. Austin Dillon and Whitney Ward, reality show romance. Austin Dillon, driver of the famous number 3, scored big both on and off the track when he married Whitney Ward in 2017. Whitney, a former NFL cheerleader for the Tennessee Titans, brought a dash of pop culture sparkle to Austin's NASCAR life. The two were young, fun, and flashy, earning them a spot as central cast members in the 2022 USA Network reality show Austin Dillon's Life in the Fast Lane. Viewers tuned in to see the Dillons and their best friends, fellow driver Paul Swan and his wife, navigate racing, marriage, and plenty of pranks. Austin and Whitney leaned into the YouTube-style shenanigans, from bowling competition smack talk to Whitney playfully roasting Austin's fashion. On the track, Austin's career had its ups, Daytona 500 win, and downs. But at home, the couple kept it light and camera-ready. They even announced Whitney's first pregnancy with a cringy, funny gender reveal burnout. Some NASCAR traditionalists rolled their eyes at the reality TV of it all, but many younger fans found the Dillons super relatable. Whitney often posts glamorous Instagram pics one day and goofy TikToks the next, balancing model looks with a girl next door vibe. Together, they've parlayed their life into a brand, complete with merchandise and a shared YouTube channel. Love them or hate them, Austin and Whitney have become NASCAR's answer to a celeb influencer couple, embracing the spotlight and happily sharing their fast lane lifestyle with the world. Ryan Blaney and Gianna Tullio, the driver and the Hooters girl. Ryan Blaney, the recently crowned 2023 Cup Series champion known for his mellow vibe, turned heads when he coupled up with Gianna Tullio, a Hooters model who won Miss Hooters International 2021. The pair first met in Las Vegas back in 2018. She was there for a Hooters promo, he for an awards banquet, and they started dating in 2020. Gianna, a business grad and influencer, is often seen as the modern NASCAR wag, glamorous but also down to earth. The two became fan favorites on social media. Gianna's Instagram showcases life with Ryan, from trackside smooches to silly at-home moments, and she even jokes about converting him into a South Florida beach bum. In December 2023, Ryan proposed and the couple wed in a winter wonderland ceremony 1 year later on December 12, 2024, describing it as a dream come true. NASCAR's young guns all attended, and yes, Gianna's Hooters family was proud. She went from calendar cover girl to racer's wife, the ultimate Hallmark meets pit road tale. The Blaney-Tullio romance has been refreshingly drama-free, though not without viral moments, like Gianna playfully grilling Ryan in a Today Show interview about wedding planning versus winning a championship. He quipped planning the wedding was harder. With Ryan's star rising on track and Gianna's off-track popularity, she's done bikini design and charity work too, this newlywed duo is just getting started. They represent a new NASCAR era where a relationship can be both traditional, high school sweetheart vibes, and modern, hello social influencer, and fans are eating it up like Daytona funnel cake. Elton Sawyer and Patty Moyes, the original NASCAR driver couple. Now, long before it was common, Elton Sawyer and Patty Moyes were a husband and wife racing duo competing against each other in NASCAR's Busch Series. In the late 80s, Patty was a rarity, a female driver holding her own, and Elton was an up-and-comer. They met, fell in love, and married in 1990, becoming the first notable married couple racing in the same NASCAR series. This was big news back then, making headlines in sports sections and even People magazine. Teammates joked about who got to the bathroom first in their motorhome and how their competitors felt getting beat by Miss Moise Sawyer. In 1991, they even crashed into each other during a race at Orange County Speedway, a husband-wife wreck. Both were okay, and they humorously vowed not to talk about it at dinner. The novelty of Patty and Elton's story brought NASCAR some mainstream attention, with Valentine's Day features about racing Valentines. Through the 90s, they often raced door to door, and Elton would later say their secret was leaving any rivalry at the track. Post-driving, Elton became a NASCAR competition executive, and Patty stepped away to focus on family. They're still happily married over 30 years later. In a YouTube sense, they'd be the vintage vlog of NASCAR, proving that couples who race together stay together. Their pioneering partnership showed NASCAR fans that love can thrive at 200 miles an hour, making them legends in the Couples of NASCAR Hall of Fame. Kyle Larson and Caitlin Sweet, champagne showers and viral celebrations. When Kyle Larson started racking up NASCAR wins, it wasn't just his driving that went viral. It was also his wife Caitlin's victory lane celebrations. Caitlin Sweet, sister of another racer, Brad Sweet, began dating Larson as teens and stuck by him through thick and thin, including his brief suspension in 2020. Married in 2018, the young couple mostly avoided controversy, but Caitlin became an instant internet hit for her now trademark move, shotgunning a beer in Kyle's victory lane each time he wins. The first time she did it, chugging a tallboy Busch Light on live TV after a 2019 win, fans went crazy sharing the clip. It became their thing. In 2021, as Larson won 10 races and the championship, Caitlin dutifully slammed beers in celebration, spawning memes and even t-shirts with slogans like, "Wish you were beer." Beyond the party girl fun, she's also a mom of 4 and often posts loving family moments with Kyle and the kids, giving fans a peek at the normally reserved Larson's softer side. In one particularly heartwarming viral video, Caitlin was seen wiping tears when Kyle won the 2021 title, before of course cracking open 2 cold ones, one for each of them. Compared to some couples on this list, the Larsons keep it drama-free, but they've proven that you don't need scandals to stir up social media. Sometimes all it takes is a fast car, an iced beer, and a willing Mrs. Larson to become NASCAR viral legends. Kevin Harvick and Delana Harvick, the driver and his fire-suited wife. Kevin Harvick's NASCAR career was legendary, but it often felt like a team effort with his wife Delana. This duo turned heads early on because Delana was always at the track, not in a sundress and heels, but wearing a custom fire suit mirroring Kevin's. She listened on his radio and even owned part of his race team, Kevin Harvick Inc., basically becoming one of the boys on pit road. Fans loved it. She famously wore a t-shirt saying, "I wear the fire suit in the family," while Kevin's shirt read, "Property of Delana." Their sense of humor went viral among NASCAR social circles. Married back in 2001, weeks after Kevin was thrust into Dale Earnhardt's seat, they navigated the pressure cooker together. Delana's steady presence was credited with calming Kevin's once hot temper. They were so inseparable that when baby Keelan was born in 2012, Kevin skipped a race to be there, a decision that years prior might have been unthinkable for him. Though never mired in controversy, the Harvicks did have one viral moment of tension. In 2007, after an on-track feud between Harvick and driver Matt Kenseth, their wives nearly had a scuffle in the motorcoach lot, with rumors that Delana and Katie Kenseth exchanged heated words. Nothing came of it except fan chatter. All in all, Kevin and Delana became the model of a modern NASCAR marriage, partners in business, racing, and life. As Kevin retired in 2023, he made sure to praise Delana as the real MVP. They may not have grabbed tabloid headlines, but their story, a couple that truly did everything together, earned a special place in NASCAR lore as a kick-ass husband and wife team. Jennifer Jo Cobb, Eddie Traconis, and Clayton Hughes, 2021. Veteran Truck Series driver Jennifer Jo Cobb found herself in the middle of a shocking off-track saga back in 2021. Cobb had married crew chief Eddie Traconis in 2015, but by late 2021, the two were separated. In the meantime, Cobb began a relationship with her team's spotter, Clayton Hughes. This personal turbulence turned violent on October 2nd, 2021 at Talladega Superspeedway. That night, an enraged Traconis confronted Hughes at a trackside campground and brutally attacked him from behind. The assault was more vicious than any on-track crash. Traconis allegedly sucker-punched Hughes in the head and continued to kick him repeatedly even after he went down. Hughes suffered severe life-altering injuries from the beating, including permanent damage that affected his mobility and even basic motor skills. The motive behind the attack seemed rooted in the love triangle. Traconis was reportedly furious that his estranged wife was dating Hughes. Authorities arrested Traconis, and the ugly episode soon played out in court. In late 2022, a jury convicted Eddie Traconis of second-degree assault for the Talladega attack, a felony carrying up to 10 years in prison. Cobb's small racing team was sidelined as the drama unfolded. She largely stepped back from competition through 2022 while the legal case progressed. What had started as a private marital rift exploded into a public scandal that left one man badly injured and another facing prison time. It's a tragic tale of jealousy and anger, a NASCAR love triangle that veered horribly off course, reminding everyone that real-life rivalries can be far more devastating than anything on the racetrack. Ray Evernham, Mary Evernham, and Aaron Croker, 2006. In 2006, the NASCAR garage was buzzing with a scandal that felt ripped from a soap opera. Ray Evernham, celebrated crew chief turned team owner, was a respected figure, having guided Jeff Gordon to multiple championships. He was also a married man, wed to his wife Mary for 19 years. But trouble was brewing at Evernham Motorsports. Ray had hired a promising young driver, 25-year-old Aaron Croker, for his development program, and by late 2005, their professional relationship had turned intensely personal. The two began an affair, and by the start of the 2006 season, Ray and Mary Evernham had quietly separated. The situation couldn't stay secret for long though. Veteran driver Jeremy Mayfield, then driving for Evernham's team, sensed something was amiss. After being released from the team, Mayfield filed a lawsuit alleging that his boss Ray was often absent and distracted because of his close personal relationship with the female driver in the organization. It was an open hint at the Evernham-Croker romance, and it blew the scandal wide open. NASCAR's rumor mill went into overdrive. Many in the paddock believed Croker was being kept in a top-tier ride because she was involved with the boss rather than on merit. And indeed, Croker's on-track performance in 2006 was underwhelming. She was routinely finishing in the back, and her number 98 truck team struggled for results. Still, Evernham continued to pour resources into her career. The whispers and perceptions grew so distracting that Evernham eventually addressed it publicly. He admitted that his personal life had interfered with the team's credibility, conceding it's no secret that his relationship with Croker hurt her career because sponsors and colleagues questioned her opportunity. Evernham even shut down Croker's full-time truck team after 2006, citing lack of performance and funding. As for Mary, she filed for divorce and the long-time marriage was over. The Evernham saga became a cautionary tale about mixing business with pleasure in NASCAR. And despite the uproar, Ray and Aaron's romance endured. The two ultimately proved that it wasn't just a fling by marrying in 2009. In hindsight, this love triangle upended a race team and tarnished a Hall of Famer's reputation, at least temporarily. It was a mid-2000s melodrama complete with a spurned spouse, a rising starlet, and a racing empire caught in the crossfire. Danica Patrick, Paul Hospenthal, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 2012 to 2013. Even superstars aren't immune to heartbreak, as Danica Patrick's very public love triangle proved in 2012 and 2013. Danica was NASCAR's most famous female driver, a crossover star from IndyCar, and had been married since 2005 to Paul Hospenthal, a physical therapist 17 years her senior who had helped guide her early career. For years, Paul was the supportive husband by Danica's side. That's why fans were stunned when on November 20th of 2012, Danica announced on Facebook that she and Paul were amicably ending their 7-year marriage. In her post, she called the decision mutual and said that the marriage was irretrievably broken while emphasizing they would remain friends. The news immediately set the rumor mill churning. Was there someone else? Sure enough, within just weeks, speculation focused on Ricky Stenhouse Jr., a rising NASCAR driver the same age as Danica. The two had spent a lot of time together as they competed in the Nationwide Series, and Ricky was about to move up to the Cup Series as a rookie in 2013, just like Danica. By January 2013, the whispers became headline news. Danica confirmed to the Associated Press that she was dating Ricky, saying, "We are dating," and joking that they had kept it under wraps during preseason media days to keep the focus on racing. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. chimed in as well. "Yes, we are dating," he told reporters, making the relationship official. The timing was the talk of NASCAR. Danica had filed for divorce from Hospenthal on January 3, 2013, and here she was just weeks later, stepping out with Stenhouse. It was a unique situation. Not only was Ricky her new boo, but he was also her direct competitor for Rookie of the Year honors in 2013. Suddenly, the two rookies found themselves answering nearly as many questions about their romance as their racing. To their credit though, both handled it with humor and openness. They sat together in drivers' meetings, were frequently seen side by side at the track, and engaged in lighthearted public banter. In March 2013, during driver introductions at Bristol Motor Speedway, Stenhouse even joked to the crowd, "Sorry guys, she's taken," when Danica's name was announced. The relationship appeared to have no ill effects on their on-track competitiveness. Each was determined to beat the other for that Rookie of the Year title, relationship or not. And by April 2013, Danica's divorce from Paul was finalized with very little drama, thanks to a prenup. The Danica-Paul-Ricky triangle was noteworthy for its relative lack of bitterness. Paul stayed entirely out of the spotlight, and Danica and Ricky became NASCAR's it couple for a time. Still though, the overlap in timelines raised some eyebrows, and it certainly fueled water cooler talk about how quickly Danica traded her wedding ring for a new romance. In the end, this love triangle was less scandalous than some others, more a tale of a high-profile marriage ending a new love blossoming under NASCAR's bright lights. But it was notorious nonetheless for the media frenzy that it created at the intersection of love and racing. Jeff Gordon, Brooke Seeley, and Deanna Merriman, 2002 and 2003. By the early 2000s, Jeff Gordon was NASCAR royalty, a four-time champion with a spotless public image, and he and his wife Brooke Seeley were seen as the sport's golden couple. Brooke was a former Miss Winston Trophy model whom Jeff had famously met in Victory Lane at Daytona. They married in 1994 and for years projected an image of all-American perfection. That shiny image though cracked in 2002 with a scandal that became one of NASCAR's most infamous love triangles. Brooke Gordon Seeley filed for divorce from Jeff, citing marital misconduct on his part. The term was a clear signal that infidelity was at issue. Soon a name surfaced in the press: Deanna Merriman. Deanna was a model and actress who claimed to have had a secret relationship with Jeff Gordon. In fact, Merriman later told Playboy magazine that she met Jeff in 2000 at a Neiman Marcus store and carried on an 11-month affair with the married driver. According to Merriman, Jeff promised her the world, only to eventually leave her for yet another model, leaving Deanna feeling betrayed. Word of this affair set off a media frenzy. Jeff Gordon's squeaky clean reputation took a hit as fans grappled with the idea that their hero might have been living a double life. The divorce proceedings provided juicy details. Brooke named Merriman explicitly in her divorce papers, and by summer 2003, the marriage was officially over. Brooke walked away with a settlement of at least $15.3 million, one of the priciest divorces in NASCAR history. Jeff, for his part, stayed mostly tight-lipped about the saga. When asked in August of 2003 about Merriman's claims, he told reporters, "I have a lot of opinions on it, but I don't think there is any reason to share that," and said that he'd rather focus on racing. But the story refused to die, especially after Playboy published Merriman's tell-all interview in its October 2003 issue. In that article, Deanna Merriman not only detailed the affair, but also reflected on the lessons that she learned. "I'll never get involved with a married man again, or a race car driver," she quipped, ruefully acknowledging the turbulent end of the dalliance. In the court of public opinion though, the Jeff Brooke-Deanna triangle was high drama. NASCAR's golden boy caught in a tabloid scandal that wouldn't have been out of place in Hollywood. Interestingly though, there was a postscript that brought a happier ending for at least one party. In 2006, Jeff Gordon remarried, tying the knot with model Ingrid Van de Bosch. His personal life stabilized, and the sordid chapter with Brooke and Deanna became a footnote as Jeff continued to thrive professionally. Brooke Seeley, after her headline-grabbing divorce, largely disappeared from the spotlight, while Deanna Merriman faded from NASCAR circles after her brief flare of notoriety. Still, for a time in 2002 and 2003, this love triangle was all anyone could talk about. A cautionary tale of how even a superstar's private indiscretions can become very public, very fast, when fame and fortune are in the mix. Kurt Busch and Patricia Driscoll assassin allegations and suspension, 2014-2015. Perhaps the most surreal scandal in NASCAR's modern history came in 2014 and 2015, when 2004 Cup Series champion Kurt Busch and his ex-girlfriend, motorsports executive Patricia Driscoll, became embroiled in a bitter, public domestic dispute that combined real legal consequences with tabloid-level strangeness. The couple had dated for several years before their relationship collapsed late in 2014. In November, Driscoll filed for a restraining order in Delaware Family Court, alleging that after a race at Dover International Speedway, Busch assaulted her in his motorhome, grabbing her by the throat and smashing her head against a wall. Busch vehemently denied the allegations, but the case went to a civil hearing. In early February 2015, the court ruled that Driscoll's testimony was more credible and, on a preponderance of the evidence, concluded Busch had committed an act of domestic abuse. The judge issued an order of protection from abuse, forcing Busch to stay away from Driscoll and undergo counseling. While this was a civil ruling only, it carried immense weight. Criminal prosecutors later announced that they would not press charges, citing insufficient evidence to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Days later, NASCAR took unprecedented action. On February 20th, 2015, the sanctioning body suspended Busch indefinitely, the first time a driver had ever been benched over domestic violence findings. He missed the Daytona 500 and 2 additional races. Sponsor Chevrolet also cut ties, further compounding the fallout. Busch's reputation as NASCAR's volatile bad boy deepened. Then came the twist that made international headlines. In testimony, Busch claimed Driscoll had told him she was a trained government assassin, a covert mercenary who carried out missions around the world. He said she even showed him grisly photos as proof. Driscoll denied this, saying that Busch had misunderstood a screenplay that she was writing, but the assassin claim went viral. Overnight, a grim domestic violence case turned into a sensational media circus, with Busch's credibility mocked and Driscoll cast as a femme fatale. By March 2015, NASCAR reinstated Busch after he completed counseling and compliance steps, noting the lack of criminal charges. He went on to win the 2017 Daytona 500 and add to his career resume. Yet, the damage lingered. Chevrolet never renewed its support, and Busch's image remained controversial. Ironically, years later, Driscoll herself was indicted on unrelated charges of fraud and tax evasion tied to her veterans charity. Convicted in 2018, she was sentenced in 2019 to prison time, which muddied public sympathy for her. In the end, this scandal was confirmed through court rulings and NASCAR actions. Busch was found civilly liable for abuse and suspended, endured severe reputational and sponsorship fallout, and only slowly rebuilt his career. But the bizarre assassin testimony ensured that the story would be remembered less like a sober legal case and more like one of NASCAR's strangest tabloid chapters, where personal chaos spilled onto the sport's biggest stage. Jeff Gordon and Brooke Seeley, the Deanna Merriman Affair, 2002 to 2003. Jeff Gordon, one of NASCAR's biggest stars, had a picture-perfect marriage to Brooke Seeley, a former Miss Winston model, until a bombshell affair scandal erupted. The couple had been a high-profile NASCAR duo, but by 2002, trouble was brewing behind the scenes. Brooke filed for divorce that year, citing marital misconduct by Gordon. This very public split shattered Gordon's wholesome reputation. The reason came to light when model Deanna Merriman went public with explosive claims of an illicit relationship. In an interview for the October 2003 issue of Playboy, Merriman detailed how she met Gordon in 2000 while working in Florida and carried on an 11-month affair with the married driver. She alleged that their secret romance lasted nearly a year and ended only when Jeff left her for another model. This wasn't mere tabloid rumor. Brooke's own divorce filing cited Gordon's relationship with Merriman as proof of infidelity. By June 2003, the marriage was officially over, and Brooke reportedly received about a $15 million settlement as part of the split. The scandal dented Gordon's golden boy image, but he largely avoided discussing it publicly. When pressed by reporters, he deflected. "It's not even worth commenting on. All I want to talk about is being fast here at Bristol," Gordon said, preferring to focus on racing. He never directly confirmed Merriman's story, letting the court documents and her interview speak for themselves. In the end, the affair became a cautionary tale about the personal costs of fame. Gordon's career continued to thrive. He kept winning on the track and eventually remarried, but the Deanna Merriman saga remains an infamous NASCAR WAG scandal. Merriman herself later quipped, "I'll never get involved with a married man again, or a race car driver." Carl Edwards and Amanda Beard, Memoir Revelations, 2006, revealed 2012. Sometimes a scandal surfaces years after the fact, such as the case when Olympic swimmer Amanda Beard released her 2012 memoir In the Water They Can't See You Cry, which painted a troubling picture of her past relationship with NASCAR driver Carl Edwards. The two had dated for about a year in 2005 and 6, and at the time were considered a high-profile sports couple. But in her book, Beard revealed personal details that stunned many racing fans. Beard described Edwards as self-absorbed, insanely jealous, and controlling. She claimed the relationship always ran on Edwards' terms, Carl time. According to Beard, he didn't want her to have any male friends or to pose in men's magazines, and he even objected to her having a drink after she confided past drug use. These accusations were from Beard's perspective. She also discussed her own battles with depression and drug abuse, and no one else confirmed her account, so it remained a classic she said, he said scenario. Edwards responded to the memoir's claims by taking the high road. He said the unflattering comments were pretty far out of left field and caught him off guard. However, he refused to fire back at Beard, telling reporters he wasn't going to bash her since she was someone I cared about. Edwards added that it was sad to read Beard had been struggling so much at the time. While Beard's celebrity status ensured her revelations got widespread media coverage, briefly challenging Edwards' nice guy image, the buzz soon died down. In the end, Edwards' reputation emerged largely unscathed, and he continued his racing career without any lasting fallout from the memoir's claims. Greg Biffle and Nicole Lunders, Pit Road Showdown 2006. Not all WAG scandals involve cheating. Some stem from raw emotions at the track. In April of 2006, driver Greg Biffle's longtime girlfriend Nicole Lunders stole the spotlight after a wreck at Texas Motor Speedway. Biffle was taken out early in the race by a bump from former teammate Kurt Busch, causing a crash that ended Biffle's day. Lunders' frustration boiled over, and moments later, TV cameras caught her slamming a water bottle on Biffle's pit box. She then marched down pit road and climbed up Busch's pit box to confront Kurt's fiancée, Ava Bryan, in a heated shouting match. The two women, normally friends off the track, ended up yelling at each other before being separated. The incident, quickly dubbed the Texas Pit Road Showdown, created a media buzz and added a soap opera element to the week's NASCAR coverage. NASCAR officials, though, weren't too amused. Competition director Robert Pemberton said that there would be conversations with those involved to make sure that this doesn't carry on into the garage, noting that even Lunders and Bryan had a close relationship before tempers flared. In the end, no penalties were issued. Lunders received only an official reprimand from NASCAR, essentially a stern warning, but nothing more. Officials did use the incident to remind drivers' families about proper behavior. Wives and girlfriends are given garage passes as team members, so their actions can be policed and credentials revoked if they cross the line. This outburst, caught live on national TV, has since become one of NASCAR's most infamous moments, showcasing just how passionate and protective those behind the scenes can get. And it also served as a cautionary reminder that family members must cool off or risk losing their hard card access. Travis Kvapil and Jennifer Kvapil, domestic violence arrest 2013. In October 2013, a disturbing scandal rocked the NASCAR world when Travis Kvapil, then a Sprint Cup Series driver, was arrested at his home in Mooresville, North Carolina on charges of assaulting his wife Jennifer. According to police and court documents, an argument spiraled into violence. Kvapil allegedly pulled his wife by the hair into a bedroom and struck her in the head when she tried to escape. He was taken into custody and charged with misdemeanor assault on a female and false imprisonment. Kvapil, a journeyman driver and 2003 Truck Series champion, initially pleaded not guilty, but later accepted a plea agreement in January 2014. He pled guilty to the reduced misdemeanors and received 2 years of probation plus 72 hours of community service. The agreement stipulated the charges would be dismissed if he completed these terms, effectively a deferred judgment. While the case didn't go to full trial, the facts reported, and Kvapil's own plea, confirmed a serious domestic incident. This was not just a rumor. The impact on Kvapil's career was immediate. Although his team, BK Racing, allowed him to continue driving after the arrest in late 2013, he was dropped from the ride for 2014, whether partly due to performance or the incident. The scandal faded from national headlines after the legal resolution, but it does remain a dark chapter, underscoring NASCAR's zero-tolerance stance on domestic violence and the damage such an incident can do to a driver's public image. Greg Biffle and Nicole Lunders, hidden camera lawsuit 2015 to 2018. Retired driver Greg Biffle found himself in courtroom drama involving his now ex-wife Nicole Lunders, years after their fairy tale wedding. The two married in 2007. However, by 2015, their relationship had soured amid mutual accusations of infidelity. The scandal that emerged was worthy of a TV legal thriller. Nicole discovered that Biffle had hidden surveillance cameras installed in the bedroom and bathroom of their North Carolina mansion. In a 2018 civil trial, Lunders testified that Greg secretly recorded her and even her mother in private areas without consent, allegedly catching intimate moments. Biffle claimed in his defense that the cameras were for security. He suspected maids of theft and insisted that he never focused them on the shower or toilet directly. However, evidence showed the footage still inadvertently capturing Nicole partially nude. The jury didn't buy George's innocence. They found that Biffle violated his wife's privacy, awarding Nicole a token $1 in actual damages plus $250,000 in punitive damages for the egregious intrusion. North Carolina law capped the payout, hence the relatively low sum despite the jury's intent to levy $500,000. Though Biffle crowded that the $1 actual damages was a victory implying minimal harm, Nicole's side argued that it was never about money. It was about holding him accountable. Notably, court filings revealed an extra layer of drama. Biffle had used those cameras to uncover what he believed was Nicole's affair with a tennis instructor, leading him to file an alienation of affection lawsuit against that man. This scandal was confirmed in open court with all the dirty laundry on display. While Greg Biffle had already stepped away from full-time racing, the lurid details that emerged undoubtedly tarnished his legacy. It showed that even a veteran driver known for a calm demeanor on the track could have a turbulent home life under the microscope of the law. Brian Vickers and Sarah Kellen, ties to Jeffrey Epstein, 2019 to 2025. One of the more unusual NASCAR WAG scandals involved Brian Vickers, the 2003 Xfinity Series champion and a multiple race winner in the Cup Series, and his wife, Sarah Kellen. Vickers married Kellen in 2013, and for a while their relationship stayed far from racing gossip. But in 2019, the wider world learned that Sarah Kellen was no ordinary NASCAR wife. She was allegedly a key associate of Jeffrey Epstein, the notorious financier and convicted sex offender. Kellen, who also used the alias Sarah Kensington, was identified in court documents as Epstein's former assistant and sex scheduler, accused of recruiting underage girls for his trafficking ring. She was even named as a potential co-conspirator in Epstein's 2007 plea deal, meaning that she avoided prosecution back then. When Epstein's crimes came back into focus in 2019 and Ghislaine Maxwell was later tried, Kellen's name resurfaced repeatedly in media reports. A federal judge during Maxwell's 2022 sentencing explicitly stated that Kellen was criminally responsible for her role in Epstein's scheme, a damning assertion, though Kellen was never formally charged. As this scandal caught fire, Vickers suddenly found himself in an unwelcome spotlight. The once popular driver had largely been out of NASCAR due to health issues, but now his social media was flooded with backlash and ugly comments about his wife. By all accounts, Brian had no involvement in Epstein's activities, yet guilt by association hit hard. The pressure grew intense. Vickers vanished from public view for years, stopping social updates entirely by 2020. In April 2025, he re-emerged on Twitter to announce that he and Sarah Kellen were divorcing after 10 years of marriage. He didn't detail reasons, but many speculate the Epstein cloud was too heavy to continue their marriage. This case is based on confirmed facts from legal proceedings and news investigations. There's nothing rumored here except perhaps the private discussions in their marriage. The impact on Vickers' reputation was indirect but significant. A promising NASCAR career cut short by health and a return to headlines for something that no driver ever wants to be linked to. From shocking affairs to explosive breakups, the drama off the track sometimes overshadows the racing itself.